Welcome to Chapter 2 of our series, Zero to First $100, the 90-Day Side Hustle Sprint. In this episode, titled Assess Time and Risk, Protect the Main Job Blueprint, we're going to help you realistically audit your available weekly hours. By the end, you'll have a clearer picture of how to balance your side hustle with your main job while minimizing risk. Let's dive in. About half of working Americans now earn money outside their main job, yet most never stop to ask, what's the worst that could realistically happen? In this episode, we pause the hustle hype and quietly dissect the hidden risks before you sacrifice sleep, sanity, or your reputation. Here's the unglamorous truth. The biggest threat to your side hustle usually isn't competition, it's your calendar and your contract. You might have validated a sharp idea in 15 minutes, but if you casually bolted onto a 50-hour work week and a strict employment agreement, you're quietly stacking pressure on your health, your relationships, and your main paycheck. This episode is about slowing down just long enough to measure what you're putting at risk. We'll turn vague worries into numbers and simple rules. How many hours you can really spare without crossing the burnout line, what your employer actually forbids, not just what you assume, and where a single misstep could trigger HR calls, tax surprises, or anxiety spirals. Think of it as drawing clean lines on the canvas before you start painting, so your new venture doesn't bleed into everything else you care about. You don't need a CFO to do this, you just need to think like one for an afternoon. Treat your week like a budget: sleep, family, commute, deep work, decompression. What's left is your investment capital for the business, and for most people, it's smaller and more precious than they expect. This is also where risk stops being a scary word and becomes a map. Instead of vaguely fearing HR emails or tax letters, you'll mark specific tripwires and decide in advance what you're not willing to trade: health, reputation, or the stability of that main paycheck. Here's where we move from "this feels like a lot" to "I know exactly what I'm taking on." Start with the one resource you can't borrow: hours. Don't guess. For a single, normal week, log your time in 30-minute blocks, from wake up to sleep. Work, commuting, scrolling, chores, childcare, workouts, zoning out in front of a screen, everything. At the end, tag each block as non-negotiable, flexible, or wasted automatic. Now overlay some hard science. Productivity collapses past roughly 50 work hours. If your job already claims 45 to 50, your hustle budget might be 5 to 7 focused hours, not 20. That's not failure, it's your operating reality. You're optimizing for durability, not drama. Next layer: boundaries with your employer. Quietly review 3 documents line by line: your offer letter, employee handbook, and any IP or non-compete forms you signed. Highlight anything touching outside income, freelance work, confidential information, or using company gear for personal projects. Don't assume nights and weekends are automatically safe. 73% of big company policies now say otherwise. A 20-minute consult with an employment lawyer can be cheaper than one messy HR investigation. Now build a simple risk matrix. Grab a page and draw 4 columns. 1. Risk. For example, manager discovers my brand overlaps the company's market. 2. Likelihood. Low, medium, high. 3. Impact. Annoying, painful, career-threatening. 4. Mitigation. What you'll do about it. Run through categories: legal, contract; policy violations, IP conflicts; financial, debt, cash flow gaps, tax surprises; reputation, online behavior, overlapping audiences; mental health, sleep loss, anxiety, relationship strain. For any item that scores medium or high on both likelihood and impact, you either redesign the hustle or delay it. That might mean targeting a different customer segment than your employer, capping client hours per week, or refusing any project that uses insider knowledge. Finally, add a contingency buffer. A small emergency fund earmarked for the side business and one pre-decided exit rule. For example, if my average sleep drops below 6.5 hours for 3 weeks, I pause new client work. Your goal isn't to eliminate all risk. That's impossible. It's to know which bets you're making on purpose while your main paycheck stays intact. Picture a nurse who works 3 12-hour shifts a week. On paper, 4 free days look perfect for launching a small wellness coaching offer. But when she tracks her energy instead of just hours, she notices the day after each shift feels like wading through wet cement. Her real capacity isn't 4 full days, it's 2 moderate ones and 2 for recovery. So she designs packages that fit into 2 90-minute blocks on her high-energy days and automates everything else. No late-night calls, no just this once exceptions. Or take a software engineer in a state where non-competes are weak but confidentiality rules are strict. Instead of freelancing in a gray area, he chooses a completely different domain, building productivity templates. Same skill set, zero overlap. He also decides that if his employer ever acquires a tool in that niche, he'll sell or sunset his product within 60 days. Think of this as drafting a personalized safety manual, not to scare you off, but to make sure your ambition has guardrails sturdy enough to handle real life. Those 64 million Americans earning outside their main job? The quiet winners aren't the ones grinding 80-hour weeks. They're the ones who treat capacity like a lab experiment. Next, you'll be stress testing your plans against real-world shocks, reorganizations at work, surprise childcare gaps, even an AI tool making a chunk of your offer obsolete overnight. Think of it as weatherproofing a tent. You'll test for leaks now, so when the storm hits, you're adjusting pegs, not rebuilding from scratch. Strong guardrails don't cage your idea, they help it pick smart battles. As you refine hours and boundaries, notice where curiosity still pulls you. Those spots are like trail markers on a hike, hints of a path you can follow without tearing up the terrain. In the next episode, you'll turn those markers into a simple, testable game plan. To go deeper, here are 3 next steps. First, plug your situation into the free emergency fund and runway calculators at NerdWallet or Empower to see exactly how many months of living expenses you'd need before reducing hours or taking any risk with the main job. Second, grab Nick Loper's Side Hustle Path or Patrick McGinnis's 10% Entrepreneur and underline every example where someone kept their day job while testing a business idea. Use those as models for structuring your own low-risk experiments. Third, install Rescue Time or use the free Toggle Track app for 1 work week to quantify how much truly discretionary time you have outside your main job. Then cap your side project hours at that number so you're protecting performance and reputation where your paycheck actually comes from. This was Owl Up, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow.